Hey everybody, Billy Robbins here, and wanted to share another video in kind of the series that we're doing with, dealing with pain, growth, resistance, progress. How do we cope with challenges that come to us to put us in a position where we are becoming more. We're becoming more about who we be. Hey everybody, Billy Robbins here, and want to continue our series that we've been kind of doing here on pain and discomfort, resistance, changing the temperature of the room, basically being in control, being a powerful person that helps dictate the course of your life, where the actions that you do are an intentional pursuit of becoming all that you were made to be, and not allowing whatever comes our way, the pain, resistance, fears, doubts that come on us, to cripple us and hold us down. And I think that this message is timely. I think in the moment that we're in this world, in the history of the world, this thing called the coronavirus, I think having some of these perspectives and being intentional about testing some of them out, super important. So this right here, I want you to introduce you to Sam. Now, it's sort of funny because this idea I'm going to share with you has, up until right now, pretty much only been a business-centric thing. So for those that don't know, I run a marketing agency. And so basically companies hire us to help their businesses grow. And so what does that mean? Well, there's a business, it's got challenges, it's got pain, there's a resistance, and we've got to figure out how to press through to go see results. Sound familiar? Business growth, personal growth, progress. That's what this is all about. And so what we did in our company is we created a methodology, a process, a way to look at any problem and to create a game plan to solve it. All right, so up until this point, when we've been talking about ideas and perspectives and little tips that you can do. But this right here is, I think, the most foundational, fundamental, powerful strategy system thingies, that's the technical term, that you can do in order to see consistent progress in your life. And I mean consistent progress. Not just like get a win once in a while and go up and go down and this happened, but actually intentionally see the progress that you want. Okay, so let's talk about things for a second. So first of all, usually there's a pain, right? We talked about this a little bit. Or maybe it's not even necessarily pain, but it's a dissatisfaction. I'm currently here, but I want to be here. And we'll call this, solve, the solution, right? Basically, point A, I'm here, I want to be here. So this wasn't the point of the video, maybe it should be, but I think one thing that's really important is anytime you find yourself having fear, anxiety, doubt, pain, whatever the case may be, one thing is you really want to identify, clearly define it. I'm in pain because my marriage isn't all that it should be, or I'm not happy with my body or my finances or whatever, my relationships. Whatever the case may be, clearly identify it. This is a pain. I do not want this. This is not what I want in my life. But don't just stay there. Don't just stay there in the pain and rue on it. In fact, this happens all the time. How many people have you met that anytime you talk about what you want, all they talk about is what they don't want? They're just so hyper aware of the pains and the doubts and the fears that that's all they can focus on, all they can look at, and all they meditate on. Think about that. If that's all you do is focus on the pain, constantly, what's that going to do to you? Again, why I've got to really limit the amount of news that I watch. Why? Because there's a lot of pain. And some outlets glamorize it a little bit more than others. And you kind of look at this and you're like, ah! Well, if you meditate on that, if you just pour and just stare at that, what does that do to you? How can that make you better? How can you be empowered and motivated and you're doing all these amazing things when all you're doing is looking at pain, issues, problems? You definitely want to take the time to understand the pain, be clear about the pain, but then immediately you better create a counterpoint. You better create a counterpoint that's telling you, well, this is what the solution I want is. This is not okay. This is okay. And this is what we want. Or this is great. And this is what we're going to go for. So step one. So if you think about it, if we're going to do this as kind of like a workshop, which is what I would typically do in a work setting. But if you think about it, so identify the pain. Here's where we are. And then write down, here's where I want to be. Okay. So once that's set, we now got to figure out, well, how do you do it? Well, here's actually, this might be liberating for some people. Here's the thing. There is not just one way to do it. There's not a perfect way to do it and everything else fails. In fact, almost all progress happens from this model, which is really a test and refine process. where you try something, you learn, you make it better. And we'll talk about the steps in just a second. But just realize that so many people, gosh, I'm so guilty of this. Like these videos, like usually I would just take, do 25 takes and it just, because I want it to be perfect. It needs to be the perfect video to have impact. That's a lie. We want progress. We don't want perfection. In fact, if you're constantly pursuing perfection, you're probably not growing that much. You're probably just beating your head against the same thing over and over and over and over again. Done is way better than perfect. Doing, action, way better than planning. Like we need to get to a place where we are moving, okay? And so this right here is a plan to create movement. It's a plan to create momentum. It's a plan to see real progress, but you just got to be intentional about sticking to it. And it's super easy. There's 3 steps after these 2 steps. So 2, then 3. Okay. Step 1, create a strategy. Strategy. What's a strategy? It is my overwhelming plan, my idea for how I can go and solve something. All right, well, let's use an example. Let's say that our pain, well, we're in quarantine time, so I think everybody's battling the waistline issue, right? The consumption of too much food, not enough exercise kind of thing. So let's just use that for our analogy. I don't like how I look. I want to look like this. Okay, what's my strategy? Well, one thing that's really important is not to think tactics are strategies. So let me give you an example. A tactic, which we'll talk about in a second, could be I'm going to go for a run, right? I'm going to run 5 miles a day. I'm going to go for a run, right? Well, that's a tactic, right? A strategy would be like, well, you know what? I know that I'm eating really bad at these times, so before I do that, at 11 o'clock of the day, I'm going to put on my sneakers and I'm going to go outside. Doesn't matter what you do. And again, it's more of a strategy, knowing the environment, knowing when you're more likely to do things. For me, working out is best early, right? I don't always get to it, but the earlier I work out, the better. Like when I work out, it's like juice for the rest of the day, right? So I want to get the juice as soon as possible. And I also got to make sure that I create momentum to have the juice. So what does that mean? Well, my strategy might be like, well, I'll have my clothes all laid out. I know when I'm going to work out, and all I'm going to do is just put on my shoes, and I'm going to go work out at this time. Or I'm going to go subscribe to some home trainings videos and some things that are online. I'm just going to do whatever it tells me to do, right? So this is my strategy. I know I got the kids taken care of. I got my gear ready. I got my water, and I'm just going to go and do. And then that's your plan. So you write down your plan, you get yourself all prepared, but then you got to do the crazy thing called act. You have to take action. You have to actually do something, okay? And this is where your strategy can help support your actions tremendously. I just pointed out a couple different things. I think I might have talked about this before, but there are catalytic moments. And what's a catalyst? A catalyst is the thing that then sets off a series of other things occurring, right? So again, using this fitness thing, this has been kind of my thing, because like in my perfection mind, it's like, well, if I do a workout, I need to have like this warm-up session. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to do some Olympic weightlifting. Then I have to have this cool down period and stretch. And it's really going to take about an hour and 15 minutes. And I hold myself to such a high standard that I'm like, you know what? I only got like 30 minutes. Just forget it. But that's not the plan. The plan wasn't to have this most amazing workout plan and do this particular lift. It's like, I need to go exercise. I need to go work out, right? So instead, for me, my catalyst event is getting my shoes on. If I get my gear on and I tie up those sneakers, I'm going to go work out. What am I going to do? I don't know, but it doesn't matter, right? I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go in there. Now, when I start going in there all the time and me getting my butt into my garage to go work out isn't a problem, well, then I can adjust my strategy to be like, well, I'm going to follow a certain routine, or on Mondays I'm going to do this, and on Wednesdays I'm going to do that. But you know what? Don't worry about getting there. That's perfection. And if you just worry about perfection without actually doing something, nothing's going to occur, right? So include in your strategy, what is that thing that's going to make you do it more? What's that accountability thing? It could be a friend. You got a friend on wherever they are and they want to work out, you know what? Get your tablet, throw on Zoom, Google Hangouts, whatever you want to do, and they do their workout, you do their workout, but you're doing it together. And you have a time, and you're going to have accountability, and you've got to go do it. I started doing that with some, actually, things like this videos. Actually, this is very videos I've been doing. I've been wanting to do it for a while. and everything's kept getting in the way. I'm too busy, or the video's not good enough, or the environment. So one of my best friends, I told him, I know I'm supposed to do this. I don't want to do it, or it keeps getting in the way. I got all this resistance. I need help. And so we did accountability. And so that dude texts me every single day. And if you're going to text somebody, you can remind them or you can encourage them. And you know what? And shout out to my boy Jason, because his texts, they just inspire you to go and do it. He casts a vision. You're an amazing video creator. People are going to love this. It's going to be great. Go do it. You know, and his texts create this momentum, this accountability. Like I would fail myself. Like I would allow myself to fail, not do something and have to deal with the self-pain and regret of not doing. I'd do that over wanting to disappoint him. I would. It's human nature. So who is that in your life? Who is that in life that you trust, that you can hold accountable, that could support you? That's a great thing to include in your strategy to help support that initiative. Okay, so we had a strategy. We then did the step. We take the action. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be doing. And then the last step is we measure. And I don't know why that's a circle and these are squares. Bear with me. So the action, we then take a step to reflect. This is a step that everybody ignores. I don't say everybody, but most people, even, well, actually, this happens all the time in business. So many times people in business don't measure things. But in personal life, very rare people actually take time to measure. Because this is part of being intentional. This is part of intent, right? I sat back and I said, you know what? This hurts. I want this. This is what I think is my best strategy to go and do it. And then write out my strategy, create some systems so I make sure I act. I do something. Then after I act, I reflect on it. And I sit there, get a journal. Journals are amazing. I need to do a video on journals. Journaling is amazing. Have a little journal and sit there and say, here's my strategy, here's what I'm going to do. And then every day measure, how did it work out? What do you measure? Well, anything. Did you do it? So did that accountability work? Did your strategy work? When you did it, how did you feel? Right? Using this fitness analogy, one thing I've realized is that when I'm in a good rhythm and working out, I feel great. I got endorphins, I got energy, like I feel amazing. It helps me do everything better. Write it down. Look at it. Be like, when you work out, you feel better. When you feel better, you treat your family better. You're more productive at work. You're more this, you're more that. Oh, you know what? I should probably do that more often. That's probably a good thing to do in my life. Or likewise, my strategy was that so-and-so was going to be my accountability partner, but so-and-so is really flaky and never shows up, never calls, never everything. You know what? We need to allow that measurement to change our strategy. Maybe so-and-so won't be my accountability partner anymore. Maybe it'll be somebody else. I'll love them, I'll talk to them if I can, but you know what? They're not a good accountability partner. Or maybe my strategy's flawed. You know, maybe I made it too rigid and I said, you know what? I'm going to run 5 miles a day. And then you made it too rigid. You ran 3.5 and then you felt bad about yourself. Whoa. No, you're making progress. You're doing something. That's amazing. It's awesome. You're showing progress. My brother has an awesome saying. He says, never shit on progress. That's good words. If it's getting a little better and you're heading in the right direction, you know what? Go easy on yourself. That's great. Progress. So you measure, you figure out what's working, what's not working, and then you know what? You adjust your strategy a little bit. You adjust it, and then you act. And hopefully the actions are more intense and more regular. You're doing it on a consistent basis. And then you reflect and you measure. And if you see what happens here, if you're always having a little bit better strategy on a regular basis, then your actions are going to be more consistent and more powerful. Then when you learn what's working, what's not working, and you take out the things that don't work, and you add the things that do, again, you create a positive cycle. Back in the first video, we talked about the vicious cycle. We talked about the cycle that tears you down, beats you down, holds you down. This is the positive cycle. This is where you take a win and you get a little bit better. You get momentum. You feel better. Think about it. If you were consistently intentional with what you were doing about the things that are most important in your life, if you acted consistently, measured the results, took away things that didn't work, kept doing and added on things to help you do it more, and you never stopped doing this, do you think that you'd find your solution? I think you would. In fact, I think your solution would end up becoming your pain. You'll end up solving yourself and being like, you know what? That's not enough. I've got more love. I got more grace. I can be more fit. I can have more energy. I can have a better business. I can add more value. And you're just going to replace these things, and you're just going to climb the ladder. You're just going to keep elevating yourself. You're going to hit some pains. You're going to drop off sometimes. Sure. But get back on it. Be intentional. Realize Sam is your best friend. Use Sam. Be intentional. Write the strategy. Act with power. Measure results. Keep going. Don't let perfection stop you, but just progress. And you're going to get there. This is going to be good. All right, this is Billy Robbins. I hope you found this helpful.